guys, thanks for tuning in to this tutorial on how to create a 3D logo. We're going to be starting in Adobe Illustrator here and creating our SVG. But first, we need to create a vector for this logo. If you don't have access to Adobe Illustrator, I'll put a link into a website that I used to create SVGs. I was just having some issues with because I would have my logo in Photoshop, and essentially when I would import it in Blender, it wasn't a true vector image. So I found it best for me, since I just paid for the whole Adobe suite, that to utilize just Illustrator to create my SVGs. So if you do have access to Adobe Illustrator, this one is for you. But if you already have your logo as a SVG, then that's totally fine. You could go ahead and skip ahead. But for this case, what you're going to want to do, I just took this off Google Images. It's obviously Show Me the Bio logo. So you just click over here, import it, image trace it. For this one, we could do black and white logo. Make sure you expand it. And then what you're going to want to do is isolate selected groups. Then you're going to want to, well, in my case, I would just delete that line because all I want is the coffins. And then I'm just going to size this up here. And I'm going to center it. There we go. Select that. And then we're going to fill this. And then we're going to make it black. And then that's our Show Me the Bio logo there. And so now it's that's that. Now let's export it as SVG. Just file. You can do save as. And then just make sure you put SVG. I already have my Show Me the Bio logo there. And that's essentially it. Again, for those who are don't have access to Adobe Illustrator and can't do this, I will be dropping a link to this janky looking website, but it works. I've used it. You essentially just have to drop your logo. I think JPEG is fine, but you could always do PNG. Drop it in there, and it will essentially same thing what's doing here is it will turn your logo into a SVG for you. There's like different options you could choose. But yeah, next step is Blender. So I'll see you in Blender. Hey guys, welcome to the Blender portion of this tutorial now. So we created our SVG, and now that we're in Blender, we were going to import it. A few things to note though is that my UI might look a little different, but everything is essentially the same. I just put a kind of skin on it, so it might look different. And if you go to render properties, please make sure that we are in Eevee, and you could just these should be the same, but make sure that you turn ambient occlusion on, bloom on, and screen based reflections and motion blur. Just have those check marked. You should be good. We could go to preferences really quick because you are going to need a add-on. It should be in the system. And if you just type in Node Wrangler, just check mark that. That's something we're going to use for this because I'm just going to show you guys how to do exactly what I did for gel, and kind of make like this iridescent rainbow like logo. So first, we're going to want to import our SVG and make sure you do scalable vectors graphs and not SVG grease pencil. I mistakenly did that like 2 or 3 different times last week, and I thought I was going insane because I haven't touched Blender in maybe a few months, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? But it was that. So please make sure that you're selecting this. Find where your logo is at that you created SVG. So then that will be in here, and it will look like this. It might look even smaller. But yeah, because if you import the SVG as a grease pencil, it might not look like this. It might look different. So once we have it imported, you can select all by left click drag, and or you could just press A and it will select everything. So first, what I will do is that hold on, I gotta select one of these and then first what I would do is set origin. Put a geometry origin. Actually, hold on. Before we do that, make sure you select all, make sure you join them, and then set your origin to geometry, or else it's just going to be all on top of each other. So then everything that we do will affect all of these, and you don't have to do it one by one because I mistakenly was doing that for a while, and I felt stupid, and I was like, there has to be a way. I mean, yeah, listen, guys, I'm not the smartest, but here we go. Uh, rotation for X, put that to 90, and that'll turn it up for you guys. And then from here, we go to this little silly tab, this green object data properties. We're going to go to the geometry in that section. And this is where we're going to make our logo 3D. So we're going to extrude it. For most of my logos that I make 3D, even my own, I think I was using 0.02. I think that's thick enough. If you think it's too thick, you could turn it down to 0.1 here. But for my sake, I'm going to do 0.2. Call it a day. So there, you made a 3D logo in Blender. Woo! Fireworks, claps. So that's cool. Then we're going to go tab under that there. We're going to take this material off of it. And we're going to go under a different tab to make it less confusing. We're going to go to the shade tab here. So shade tab, just zoom on in. Zoom on in. Cool. So then we're going to create a new material there. So this will, when you create a new material, it'll look like this. So what you're going to want to do is delete this principled, and then Shift A. We're going to want to import a glass BSDF. Import that into the surface there, and then click this tab over here and go to the world. Now, for this, what we're going to want to do is this is a very important part on why we have the Node Wrangler tool on and selected. So what we're going to want to do first is import a brightness and contrast node. Plug the color into the color there. And then we're going to want to image texture node, color into color there. And then from here, so if you have that Node Wrangler add-on on, all you have to do is press Control and T, and this will pop up here. For the vector, plug that into generated, and then there we go. Now we got to import an image. So for that iridescent look that I went for, I actually bought I think it was like a $5 pack or something from online from another creator who's doing another iridescent kind of logo theme, and it gave me 20 or something different iridescent images. So let me go find that right there. Never mind, it gave me 30. But yeah, so I just used one of these images. I forgot which one I used for Joe. Let's use 23. Call it a day. So let's go into rendered view. You do this by holding Z, and you could go into wireframe view, solid view, and rendered view. So the rendered view gets to be a little bit too much. And you might be saying, how am I going to keep track of what my logo looks like? And the background is just so distracting. Well, let's go up here to your scene, go under film here, go to transparent. There we go. Less distracting, you could just focus on your logo there. Now, we can mess with our brightness and contrast here. If you want that glow, bring that contrast in. Pump it. Trying to balance both. Yeah, I mean, get something you like. So I can layout. That's the rendered view. So, all right. Now here, let's do a few things. Shift A here. Let's import a camera, and you can set the X rotation 90, Y rotation 0, and as well the Z location is 0. You could do a few things here. You could either just click the move tool here and then just pull the camera back. I'm gonna split my frame here, and how you do this is grab a corner and then drag it over, and it'll uh, split it in half. So this one over here, my view will be activate the active camera, and I'll just set this in the rendered view. This one we could just do a solid view. Um, so that's what looks in the render view there, and uh, let's work on the creating the moving animation part of this. If you guys have any questions or if I'm going a little bit too fast, please don't hesitate to contact me on socials or anything like that. I'll be free to help and answer in any way I can. I hope I'm doing a good job at explaining this thus far, but yeah, let's get into it. So let's make sure that we're selected our curve here, our logo. Make sure at 0, because if you aren't at 0, if you're like at 1, the animation might be a little janky, and like you could tell that it's not a seamless loop. So just make sure you're at 0. Now for this, let's make a keyframe for our rotations here, and I'll do the same thing I did for gel. I'll do it's a 5-second render. I mean, not 5-second render, a 5-second video. So just so you guys know, because we will be rendering in 24 frames a second for this animation. So you could just jump down the timeline to 250 here, and let's just type in at the end here 360. And to make sure that you make that keyframe, just go over here and make that keyframe, and then it should be moving. And then you could just play it, and there you go. And then we made a moving Show Me the Body logo in 3D. Of course, you could change it up however you want to. I mean, there's plenty of ways to do different lightings or different. You could choose a different image of iridescent, and it could just be totally different. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of ways. But so now we created our render, and now you want it to. Now we need to export it. Simple. Really. So, resolution stuff, 1920 by 1080 at 100%. Usually keep all this stuff the same. Wherever you want to save it. Let's just save it to where I save everything else. That's sure. Probably. And then for a file format, just do MPEG video, FF MPEG video. Color management, no, don't need to worry about that. Encoding, we could do MPEG 4. And then for output quality, make sure you put perceptually lossless. And then we should be good. The only thing I would change is if you go back up to the render properties here and you go to color management. For the look, I usually do very high contrast. But up to you, whatever you want to choose. Do high contrast. And then everything is set. Everything's good to go. I usually don't mess with anything down here. And then what you would do is just go up to render and then render your animation. And your image, not image, but your video will start rendering. This could take a little bit depending on your PC. So, but it will eventually render. All right. It's done rendering, and let me just set this a loop or repeat, and here we go. Yep, and that's all, y'all. That's it. That's how I did the logo. And yep. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Sorry if I was going too fast or I didn't cover a lot of things. Like I said, if you have any questions or want me to go over anything, feel free to reach out. I'll put a few resources in the bottom description that helped me out on my 3D journey and learning so fast. Mainly it's Ducky 3D, who I watch a lot on YouTube. And then if I need to look up something very particular, I'll, search it up on YouTube. But hope this helps. And this is how I create a 3D logo, or how I've been creating 3D logos. I did one for Gate Creeper, and then I did one for Gel most recently. But yeah, and then I just use it for my videos. But now you could create 3D logos to your heart's content. And you could just create any logo, you know? Logos are easy to find on the internet. So, yeah. Thanks, guys. And I hope you enjoyed. I already have the next tutorial planned. Not really a tutorial, but more of an informational video if you're trying to get into music photography. So stay tuned for that. And cheers.